most of my grandfather's life, he was blind. He never saw me. And so, for me, I've always had a personal connection to blindness, but it was actually the physiology of vision. Do you know the Charles Darwin origin of the species, his theory of evolution? He said, the only thing that disproves this theory, I cannot believe the human eye was made by evolution. So, it is a very magical gift, and it's very powerful to give someone their sight back.
Өнөөдрийн подкастыг үргэлжлүүлэн үзэхээс өмнө би таныг манай багийн гишүүн болохыг урьж байна. Юу хийх вэ гэхээр манай YouTube сувгт subscribe дараарай. Ингэснээр та бидний бэлтгэж байгаа мэдээллүүдийг авахын хажуугаар таны амьдралын хэм маягт шаардлагатай өөрчлөлтүүдийг бид нар өгөх тэр хэмжээний мэдээллийг өгөх болно. Тэгээд комент бичгээ бити мартаарай. Учир нь манай багийнхан бид бүгдийг нь уншиж үзээд санаа сэтгэлийг чинь авдаг гэсэн үг. Тэгэхээр өөрт авсан мэдээлэлээ өөртөө үлдэхгүйгээр бусдтайгаа бас share хийгээрэй. За ингээ үргэлжлүүлээд ярилцлага үзье. Би өглөөгөө нэг сайхан кофегоо уугаал. Тэгээ өнөөдөр болох зүйлийг яг болцсон юм шиг бодгол хамгийн түрүүний хийх ёстой зүйл. Өглөө босонгуудаа шууд уцаа оролдохгүйгээр хамгийн эхлээд өнөөдөр ямар сайхан өглөө вэ гэдгээ мэдрэхийн тулд хажууд байгаа зүйлсээ яг гоё болж байгаа юм шиг, яг гоё сайхан байгаа юм шигээр би төсөөлчдөг байна.
I'm an ENT doctor. I go run more faster.
Yeah?
With that.
What do you feel for a difference?
Yes, it's feel the hair
Example for which patient you would recommend this?
snoring. So
Yeah.
I think I help in this
Yeah.
kind of problems.
Also ich empfehle das nur so grundsätzlich den Patienten, die halt einfach nachts darüber klagen, dass sie keine Luft bekommen, aber keine Lust haben, sich operieren zu lassen.
Okay.
Gibt ja ähnliche Devices oder so, aber ich finde das Noson ist gut verarbeitet, es sitzt schön in der Nase.
Ja.
Und ich mag es, dass es von oben kommt.
Ja.
Weil es gibt
Ja.
ja auch die anderen, die von unten kommen.
Ja.
Ich finde es cool, wenn das von oben kommt. Es sitzt gut drin, fällt nicht raus und so.
Minka, ich will show you. Wow. 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 That's it. Oh mein Gott. Jetzt weiß ich es ja. 12. Ich kann endlich halten, my bro.
A very good day, all the people who's watching us and hearing us in everywhere around the world. Today is a good day because I have a very good person in front of me and who doing such a great job during all these years. We're gonna find out why and how exactly he did it. And there's a study made for people. What is the biggest fear that you have? The first one is, of course, dying, right? And maybe second, or could be parallel to the first one. That pretty fearful thing is to stay alive without vision. So imagine you can live, but without seeing anything. That could be horrible. That's how important it is to see stuff and watch, to be able to see the colors of nature and see the loved ones you see. And today's topic is related to our visual, or I don't know how to tell it in English, but we're gonna talk about our eye health. And there's an organization which found years ago to give this health service, especially for your eyes, and they have built a huge airplane with everything packed to do surgeries and give consultations and also give classes those who in need to study eye health and how to give services. So without further ado, I want to give a big shout out to this person, and he's gonna introduce himself because he's gonna do it way better than I do because he's gonna talk about himself. And Dr. Hunter.
Yeah, well, thanks
Welcome.
for being here. Yeah, it's great to be back in Mongolia, and it's great to be here. So my name's Hunter. I'm an eye doctor and ophthalmologist. I've been with Orbis International. I first joined in 2005, and right now I'm the vice president of clinical services and clinical technologies. And it seems like technology is a big piece of your interest, so I know we're going to get into that. But I was so good to have you on our Flying Eye Hospital. Sometimes when I tell people what I do, they think that I'm crazy because I talk about this big plane that goes around the world and does eye surgery inside a plane. But really, that's just a small part of what we do. And one of the things that's made me very proud is our country team. So Dr. Chimge, who's sitting to my left, she does work every day of the week, every week of the year. She's here in Mongolia. So the plane comes to Mongolia maybe every 3 to 4 years for 2 to 4 weeks. But we have permanent projects here with especially focused on pediatric eye health that I'm really excited about, and I'm really fired up to talk to you today about that.
Great. First time I heard about this airplane and couldn't imagine. And then after the explanation, I received videos of it. And I said, look at this. Look at this one big proper airplane with the packed of technologies only for eye health.
Correct.
And that was a Airbus 330, right? The aircraft's name. I don't know about the model, but we're going to show you videos. We have a very good B-roll over here. And then during that visit, what I saw, you're going to see it in this podcast. So I want to know first the beginning of your career in order to reach over there with the LASIK. So why you choose to study this field, and then what happened?
Kind of like you, I thought I was going to be an orthopedic surgeon. So I love sports. I love sports medicine. I loved hand surgery.
Hand surgery?
Yeah, believe it or not, you take away someone's hands, their quality of life goes down significantly. And it's really cool surgery. But I was working in Africa and I saw someone doing
Hand surgery.
Yeah, hand surgery is awesome.
I had the Bennett fracture over here. Bennett's fracture.
Yeah, I know exactly what yep.
And I had this surgery, and I asked, I want to watch it, how you do the surgery. And I watched it.
No.
Pretty horrible.
Yeah, but you take away someone's thumb and their hand, they're a very unhappy camper. You take away their vision, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But so there I was in Africa, and I saw people doing cataract surgery with very limited ORs. They were doing these inside schools. They didn't have fancy intensive care units. And I realized that in one day, you could change a person's life. And, for most of my grandfather's life, he was blind. He never saw me. And so, for me, I've always had a personal connection to blindness, but it was actually the physiology of vision. Do you know the Charles Darwin origin of the species, his theory of evolution? He said, the only thing that disproves this theory, I cannot believe the human eye was made by evolution. So, it is a very magical gift, and it's very powerful to give someone their sight back. And, what Orbis is focused on is vision in low to middle income countries. So 90% of the world's blindness is in low to middle income countries. 80% can be prevented or cured, and a disproportionate amount of blindness affects women. And so Orbis really focuses on all of those things. And if you can, last week we were working with our partners at MCH Hospital, the children's hospital here in Mongolia. You give a 4-year-old their sight, that just changed their entire world. So much of a child's world is, through their eyes, their education, their joy. So yeah, it's very powerful. And I'm really proud because I've been able to come back to Mongolia over and over again and not just see how much the doctors are doing. They're doing amazing work here with the premature infants. Fantastic work. But now we're getting out to the rural areas of Mongolia, which I always thought, you have the least population density of any country in the world.
Yeah.
And one of the ways we're tackling that is through technology, which I'm sure we're going to talk about.
What is the biggest issue that we facing in this country in eye health in general?
Yeah.
During those years that you visited, and even today, you've been attending people, right?
So I won't say problems. I think there's a lot of challenges I've seen the ophthalmic community here solve. So now we have subspecialists here, people who are exclusively focused to glaucoma or retina. These are major problems. Mongolia has some of the highest rates of glaucoma of anywhere in the world. Diabetes has, from what I've seen, and this is my limited view, has almost doubled in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And so, for me, when you say what challenges, I think there's two challenges in Mongolia, just like we were discussing before we were recording. You have city and rural. I think in the rural scenarios, it's often trauma, lack of access, lack of public awareness or knowledge, but then distance. I'm 800 miles away and I see that my baby has a white pupil, which means a cataract, not a black pupil and is not seeing clearly. How do I get that child 800 kilometers away to the one surgeon in the country, the one machine that can do the surgery? I think now in the city, and again, it's the tale of two cities or the tale of two countries.
Yeah.
I think now we're seeing diseases that weren't bigger issues 40, 50 years ago. The diabetes, macular degeneration, as your population's living longer, as they're changing their diet and having more sedentary lifestyles. Very important. So yeah, I think the good news is Orbis under Chimge's leadership is tackling all of that. Pediatric and geriatric, city and rural. So yeah, this is one of my favorite countries to come and to visit. As I was telling you, I've come here as a tourist, I've come here as a doctor, and I've come here as a friend. So I have friends here. I love seeing, the doctors I've been working with, I've known them for 12 years. I know their kids. It's fun to come back.
Now that you mentioned about the Orbis, I want you to explain the origin of this project and how it founded and how many years you guys been visiting and maybe the biggest milestones that you guys achieved by far.
I love that question. So in the 70s, there was an ophthalmologist, an eye doctor named David Paton, Paton, and he saw as he traveled around the world that so many people had not had exposure to the latest innovations or products for eye care. And he started talking to some of his friends and he's like, what if we put a hospital inside a plane and took it to the places where it was needed most? And so we took flight in 1982. It was a DC-8, very different than the plane you see today. And it went to Panama. And now since that flight, we've been to over 95 countries. So that's very exciting.
Wow.
This is our third generation plane. The one you went on just the other day is an MD-10. It was donated by FedEx, Federal Express.
I saw that letter.
Yeah. And it's super exciting because the organization has grown. It was birthed in aviation, but now we have permanent offices in multiple countries, not just in Asia, but in Latin America and also Africa. We have technologies. So in 20 years ago, we started a telemedicine program actually in Cuba where you did your studies.
Wow.
That's where CyberSight, our distance learning telemedicine platform, began. Today, every country in the world is on CyberSight for eye health education, except for North Korea and Western Sahara. So there's over 200 countries every day connecting with CyberSight to learn and discuss patients. And recently we've launched artificial intelligence, where you can now look at the back of the eye and within 30 seconds find out if the patient has diabetes, glaucoma, or macular degeneration. Those are the three major causes of blindness, not just here in Mongolia, but for adults around the world.
Wow.
Yeah,
95 countries you guys covered.
With the plane since
the plane.
1982.
So you guys not going to stop, right?
Yeah. We actually, so after Mongolia, we go to the Philippines for some restock. We've used a lot of supplies. When we land, we have all of our own supplies. And then we're going to go to Bangladesh, which is another country where we're doing incredible work. And one of the things I love is the work we do with refugee camps. So right before the pandemic in 2020, I was actually in Cox's Bazar, a part of Bangladesh where the Rohingya community was displaced. And I got to spend a lot of time walking around and seeing how important vision was to someone who's a refugee. And if you lose your I'm currently not wearing my glasses, but I'm legally blind without my glasses.
Wow.
I can't imagine in the middle of the night having my village raided and having to run to another country's border with the vision I have right now. So I can tell you, people often think vision is a quality of life. Vision is ultimately what we're finding, something that saves your life. 50% of children who do not see before their 5th birthday don't make their 5th birthday. Wow. So, one of the things we have here was that telemedicine, the cyber site. One of the top 10 tumors, cancers in children, solid tumors, not leukemia, not lymphoma, solid tumors, is in the back of the eye called retinoblastoma. Many of those children who have that disease are now being managed with an expert in the United States at St. Jude's Hospital, which is exclusively a children's cancer hospital. And Mongolia, per ophthalmologist, is the #1 country in the world using our telemedicine and distance learning platform. We actually have courses now, thanks to Chemge, in Mongolian. We actually have experts in Mongolia now giving lectures and giving consults to other countries.
Wow.
To me, that is the real sign of success. I'm trying to put myself out of a job so I can go back to Cuba and spend more time fishing.
Hey, подкаст нь таалагдж байна уу? Үргэлжлүүлээд бүр илүү ихийг сонсохыг хүсэж байгаа бол биднийг дэмжээрэй. Бид Хандивын наастаа болсон байна. Тайлбар хэсэгт нь оруулсан байгаа. Эсвэл энийг хартаа. Баярлаа.
Give me 5.
Yeah, sorry. It's going to be hard to go around this. Yeah. How about we do fist bump
Yeah,
next
fist
time? 'Cause
bump.
this is too hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. That's good. That's great to hear. And I just concluded your title as a doctor worldwide, because you've been flying all over the world and giving this amazing service towards who's in need. And I know it's a teamwork. All the time it's a teamwork. And I would like to hear from you about the cabin crew. I'm not saying the ones that flies the airplane. Of course, they include. But I heard there's so many great mind on your cabin crew.
Yeah, I love what you just said. And I've always taken great pride the fact that we have the Flying United Nations.
Mm-hmm.
So we have over a dozen countries full-time working on the Orbis Flying Eye Hospital. We will be in the operating room inside that plane, and you'll have 5 continents working together. The only thing they care about is teaching each other as much as possible and helping the patient under the blanket. In my opinion, it's the most powerful form of functional diplomacy I've ever seen. If you watch TV and you watch the news, you can get very sad very quick.
Yes.
Especially about, the way the world is today. When you look in that OR and you see someone from South Africa passing an instrument to someone from China, helping the anesthesiologist from Britain with the doctor from South America, it's incredible. And I do think that all of us, over 1 billion people on this planet, have some form of eye problem, whether it's glasses, cataracts, glaucoma. I guarantee you don't have to look very far within your family tree or within your friends. Someone has an eye problem. We're all united by that.
I have an eye problem.
There you
Lazy eye. Left 20% of all sights. I mean, you only have 20% of the vision. And since the beginning of, consciousness, I had this problem. And this one, 100% good.
Yeah.
But when I do this, I can see you for 3 minutes, and maybe tops 3 minutes, and then after that, my brain is like, open up the right side.
Yes,
I can
yes.
hear, I can see it.
So that problem is what we call amblyopia or lazy eye.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the main things we teach parents and school teachers and pediatricians and community eye health workers how to find and treat here in Mongolia. So, one of the things I always feel is...
Is it treatable?
Yes.
For my...
No. So you have to address it early as a kid. Don't worry, you've done very well in life. And that goes to show, you can do almost anything with one well-seeing eye. But I also want to say I have friends and I've worked with patients and parents with people who are completely blind, and you'd be amazed. The inventory, everything on that plane comes from a warehouse in the United States where every single employee is visually impaired. And they work as fast or if not better than any employees you've seen. And some of the happiest people I've seen are visually impaired. So, one of the things I would say is I think leaving the world a little better than you found it. And if you're able through this podcast or through your career, because I think you have a sincere focus in health, to make sure that 20, 30, 1,000 kids learn about lazy eye early and can patch and get that other eye strong. It's just like when you do physical therapy, right? If someone broke their leg and they were in a cast, and even if you took the cast off 6 weeks later, if they didn't do physical therapy, that asymmetry will never rebalance unless you do physical therapy. But like I said, I think what you're doing here on this podcast and trying to focus on health through education, that's super important. See, you didn't know about your disease, and you're an incredibly well-trained, educated person. I'm amazed. I have true brain surgeons who will call me saying, I think I lost my contact. Could it have gone behind my eye into my brain?
Is it true that happens? I saw a video with tons of eye contacts bringing up from the behind.
That was a woman in the UK. She had 27 contacts. I've had more conversations about that article. They still were inside the front of the eye. Contacts can't go to the back of the eye, or certainly can't go to your brain. But when I sat there, they cannot. But when I had a neurosurgeon call me and say, hey, I lost my contact, could it have gone behind my eye? I'm like, wow, this is a brain surgeon and he's asking me about contact lenses. So I think all of us need education about eye health. And I think that's one of the goals and why I applaud what you do. I think education is by far the most important start to any path to health, whether it's losing weight, smoking cessation, whatever. I find so few healthcare professionals understand eye and vision. And that's what Chimge, she spends a huge amount of time working on community eye health. We bring over an expert who talks about patient counseling. And these things are so important. You can bring over the best, we've brought over one of the best pediatric cataract surgeons in the world. She was just operating. We brought over one of the best glaucoma surgeons in the world. And they do an amazing training. But if the patients don't get to them in time, they can't treat. And the only way those patients are going to get to them in time is through community awareness, telemedicine, screening programs, school screening programs. And that's what we need to do here in Mongolia.
Thank you. And I still need names.
For the people on my plane?
Yeah.
Okay. So, for example, Morris is the Flying Eye Hospital director. He's from Ireland. Elena is the project manager who's done a lot of the work here. She's from the US. Her counterpart is Miriam. She's from Turkey. In the AVIT room, so we have our own IT team. We have our own server. Wonder is from Zimbabwe. This is his first time on the Orbis plane. He just joined our team. First time to Mongolia. His name is Jackson. He's from Kenya. The lead ophthalmologist, Omar, is from Colombia. His right-hand person, Pepe Tonio, is from Mexico.
Oh.
So you already see where we're going. Like, you're literally going down the plane.
Yeah.
In the operating room, our biggest team is our nursing team. So we have Keenan from Kenya. We've got Angela, who was born in Jamaica, living in the UK. We've got Elisa from Peru. We've got Xiao Ying from China. We have a biomedical engineer. His name is Ronald, or Mung Mung Gi. He is from Myanmar. He's Burmese. We have Alvaro, who is a Colombian biomedical engineer. And we have the anesthesiologist. His name is Andrew Choice. He is from the UK. But that's the upper deck of the plane. You only got to see part of the plane.
Yes.
The lower deck is where our aircraft team is. So we have Sunichi. He is from Japan. We have Val. She is from the US. And Rich is also from the US. And I love what you said, because you would think that pilots and doctors are so far apart. They're actually very similar cultures. Everything's about training, safety, protocols, bringing the best technology to ensure human performance, really just like what you did in athletics with women's basketball. Training a surgeon is just like athletic coaching. Repetition, but it's deliberate practice. One of the things I firmly believe is because we do a lot of training. The first week we were here in Mongolia, we weren't treating patients. We were bringing residents and young doctors on the plane and working with anesthesiologists and nurses at the local hospital, all through simulation. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And you can practice something on your own and teach yourself a lot of bad habits and find out you actually have to undo what you self-taught to become a better surgeon. And one of my favorite quotes about surgeons, 90% of surgeons think they're in the top 10% of their field. And it's really the best surgeons I've ever seen are the ones that are constantly learning and constantly asking for feedback. Today, I was just with one of the world's best glaucoma doctors. His name is Malik Kahuk. After his surgery, he goes, "What did you think? How could I have done it better?" This is a man who's made 3 companies and sold them for innovation in eye care. He's been blessed by the hands of God to do surgery, and he's asking me my opinion on his surgery. But that's because he wants to get better. And you've seen this with athletes. The ones that really are the best athletes are the ones that are constantly improving their techniques, practicing their performance, etc. So really, I think this plane is a wonderful platform for skills exchange where the doctors from Mongolia teach me stuff. I learn stuff all the time here. You have diseases and things that I don't see as frequently back home. So I teach what I know, you teach me what we know, we'll find a common ground. That's what I love about this plane. I've been doing this since 2005. I'm still learning every single week.
Би өглөөгөө нэг сайхан кофегоо уугаал. Тэгээ өнөөдөр болох зүйлийг яг болцсон юм шиг бодгол хамгийн дөрөвний хийх ёстой зүйл. Өглөө босонгуудаа шууд уцаа оролдохгүйгээр хамгийн эхлээд өнөөдөр ямар сайхан өглөө гэдгээ мэдрэхийн тулд хажууд байгаа зүйлсээ яг гоё болж байгаа юм шиг, яг гоё сайхан байгаа юм шигээр би төсөөлчдөг байна.
I'm the ENT doctor. I go run more faster
Yeah?
with that.
What do you feel for a difference?
Yes, it's feel the hair
Example for which patient you would recommend this?
snoring. So
Yeah.
I think I help in this
Yeah.
kind of problems.
Also ich empfehle das nur so grundsätzlich den Patienten, die halt einfach nachts darüber klagen, dass sie keine Luft bekommen, aber keine Lust haben, sich operieren zu lassen.
Okay.
Gibt ja ähnliche Devices oder so, aber ich finde das Noson ist gut verarbeitet, es sitzt schön in der Nase.
Ja.
Und ich mag es, dass es von oben kommt.
Ja.
Weil es gibt ja auch die anderen, die von unten kommen.
Ja.
Ich finde es cool, wenn das von oben kommt. Es sitzt gut drin, fällt nicht raus und so.
Minka, ich will show you. Wow. 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 That's it. Mein Gott. Jetzt weiß ich es ja. 12. Ich kann endlich halten, my bro.
Your team is very international. How
Yes.
you guys recruit the team?
Yeah, and it's funny. Sometimes they find us.
Oh,
A lot of people, when we say that, oh my God, there's a job, if you're a biomedical engineer, would you like to travel around the world and teach people and help them out, people who need it most? Of course. But I would also say, as we go around, we find people during the program.
Oh.
That person was an amazing student. Let's them bring them on for 1 or 2 years and make them even better. So people don't know this, but when the plane was just beginning in the early 80s, the plane came here to Mongolia. And there was a doctor who was an ophthalmologist here in Mongolia. They thought she was great. And they brought her on the plane. And she was one of the first 20 doctors on the
Wow.
Flying Eye Hospital was a Mongolian. So yeah, I think what I love about Orbis, we're all very different.
yes.
But at the end of the
That
day, when we get on that bus to go to the airport, there's only one thing we're focused on. Yeah, and we all pull for different teams in the World Cup, and we may have all different languages and cultures and beliefs. But there you will see, and I think you may have felt it when you come on the plane, there's definitely an Orbis culture.
Yeah. So my curiosity is asking me to ask you something because I can't wait to hear from you. And when I find out that the anatomy of these eyes, right? What we seeing something is not eyes are seeing, but eyes, it's giving this sensation of what we seeing to the back of our head, right? So there's a sensor which gets the information through eyes and analyzes it and delivers to our brain what we see in it. That's what I understood. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
So, which is, eyes is one thing. It's just a
Camera. It's a camera.
It's a camera, but what we like actually we seeing is not over here. It's over there, right? So there's a wire. What Elon Musk just announced, he wanted to place a chip over here, Neuralink, right? Which will help us to logically, understand or consciously we can feel what we sensing or what we calculating, all those things. I can't go too deep on that field. But do you believe in near future with technology, we can receive or see things not same anatomy of eyes, maybe with something else, like I can hold one eye like something in my hand, connect to my that sensor stuff and see it, like I can move it around without seeing my head.
So if you Google, there's already retinal chips they can put in patients who've had severe vision loss. There are chips already trying to help restore vision. You said something super important. Let me tell you how important vision is.
Okay.
1/3 of your brain is designated for either vision or eye movement. So a lot of times people come to the doctor with an eye problem, and it's actually a brain problem that's manifesting in the eye. And yes, let me ask you some questions. Out of all of medicine, cardiology, nephrology, what's the first field of medicine to have FDA approval for gene therapy?
No clue.
Ophthalmology. Out of all the fields of medicine, which is the first to have FDA approval for autonomous AI, meaning the artificial intelligence will diagnose you and you walk home with a diagnosis and you never see a doctor? What's the first field?
I don't know.
Ophthalmology. Come on, know your audience. Let me give you a hint. Every question I ask you, the answer is going to be ophthalmology.
Okay.
Right. So this Neuralink and these retinal chips, I am amazed. And I graduated medical school almost 25 years ago. I would have never guessed we'd be sitting here talking about gene therapy, artificial intelligence, I'll say computer-assisted vision. These are all realities. There is never, I know when you watch the news, you get very depressed. There has never been a more exciting time to be alive. And we're able to go back to patients where I truly did not think we'd be curing these diseases in my lifetime. And we're offering them hope. Gene therapy, this is incredible stuff. And this is happening now. This isn't sci-fi. This is science, not
Gene
fiction.
therapy. Can you elaborate more on that?
So yeah, gene therapy is really an exciting field for ophthalmology, but all of medicine. There are certain diseases that are caused not because of smoking or high blood pressure, but because the genes that you have inside your body make deficient proteins or defective proteins. Some of those affect the eye. So there are certain children that have retinal, the back of the eye blindness, because they inherited 2 bad copies of a gene and they're not able to make the proteins needed to make vision happen. So now they can go inside the children's eye with a special surgical instrument and put the medicine that has the new gene, a working gene, inside below the retina, and that gets incorporated into the child's DNA, and they start making the right proteins and start having the vision come back. And this is super exciting. And Orbis is one of the leaders in the world in this. So we get consults from around the world on ocular genetics. And we have a very famous professor who's a volunteer with us. His name's Alex Levin. and he's dedicated his whole career to this. And he diagnoses children in Saudi Arabia or in India that have these very rare diseases that you probably never even heard of. But now, for the first time, cures are coming to market through gene therapy. So like I said, it's such an exciting time to be a doctor. I never thought when I left my small little town to go to college, I'd be flying around the world on a plane, working with all these experts in all these amazing places and helping people who need it the most.
What kind of impact will give AI to your field?
So Orbis is one of the first in the world to make AI freely available to its users. Mm-hmm. So on CyberSight, that telemedicine platform that's 20 years old, we actually have an artificial intelligence program that we've created in-house.
Wow.
And with a picture in the back of the eye, we can diagnose things like diabetes, macular degeneration, and glaucoma. You can actually go on Google right now and see some of the research papers we've done. We've now used this technology in places like Vietnam and Rwanda and now South Africa. So I'm very, very excited. There is a study we did in Bangladesh with one of our partners. By using AI, the doctor's productivity went up by 40% because the patients who did not have diabetes in the back of the eye didn't need to come in and be examined. They could wait another year for their annual checkup. So the doctor was only seeing patients who needed to see the doctor. So I do think that AI is going to help with patient education and patient referral. The study we did in Rwanda, patients who were diagnosed in the rural countryside with AI were much more likely to come and get their treatment than the ones who were told, yes, you have a problem, go to the doctor, but they didn't have education through AI to do it. So I think AI is already changing the world. I'm really happy to see an organization like Orbis using AI for good. We're democratizing this very powerful tool so that the people who truly need it most can access it. Often, and you've seen this probably better than anyone, technology keeps getting better and better and better and more expensive, and it really only helps the top 1 or 2% of a world.
Yeah.
I'm focused on the bottom billion. How can we as Orbis create things that reach the bottom billion, were designed for the people who are living on less than $1 a day, and help them earn $2 a day by giving them better vision? AI is a very powerful tool, and I'm very excited that under Chimge's leadership, we're bringing an AI tool here to Mongolia. It will be the first country in the world to use it to diagnose premature infants to prevent them from going blind from a disease called retinopathy of prematurity. That's what made Stevie Wonder, the US musician, go blind.
Oh.
And this disease, if you treat it early, can go away and never cause the child's blindness. If you miss it and you don't treat it, the child's blind for the rest of their life. So I'm really excited that Mongolia is one of our most innovative countries. Chimge and our team have partnered with doctors from around the world and published on the telemedicine. Give me 2 years. I'll be back here in 2 years on your podcast, and I'm going to really tell you what we're doing with AI here in Mongolia to the people and babies who need it most.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you just made a promise to come back in 2 years.
No, you made a promise to invite me back in 2 years.
All right.
All right.
I'll do my part.
Okay.
From several people, most of them was my friends, and told me about the LASIK surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And they diagnosed, and so the clinician said they need to go through LASIK eye surgery. And what they decided to do is not go through it. And do you know what was their basis?
Fear of a complication?
No. They said the most of the eye doctors, they still wear glasses.
Yes. Okay.
So that's the basis. So they don't believe the LASIK surgery is like proven or it's the right way of dealing with that problem. Because they believe if LASIK surgery is good, eye doctors would have done for themselves. So please give end to this debate.
It is a debate. and I think it's a personal choice. Everything in life is about expectation management and risk to benefit. I know, for example, young men who their only thing they want to do in life is become a fighter pilot in the military.
Wow.
And in the US, you can get LASIK and then become a fighter pilot. There's risk, but I will tell you LASIK is one of the most studied, one of the most successful surgeries in all of medicine. And I would love to be able to go without my glasses. I'm 50. I just had my 50th birthday here in Mongolia last week. I can assure you that I'm very comfortable wearing glasses, but if I had my choice, I wouldn't. But it's all about benefit to risk. Athletes, they're the ones who often get it. Scuba divers, things like this. I would say I would never get LASIK because of appearance. I would do it. It's not a cosmetic procedure. Uh-huh. You're trying to improve function, whether you're Steph Curry or a basketball player, since you're a basketball fan. So I would tell you, obviously, if it were not a good surgery, it would have been taken off the market. But I have seen very serious complications. I think sometimes people forget it is surgery. So the question I always ask people is, what is your motivation? What is your expectation? And what is your risk tolerance? I personally chose not to for a multitude of reasons. But I have some of my friends who they said it was the single best thing they've ever done for their health. So, I don't think I'm going to end the debate here. I think it is a personal choice. I think whenever you elect to do a surgery, get your hands to the best person and get a second opinion before you decide anything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's an incredible surgery. And I've seen people who it really has made them happier and they go, play sports more and it gets them healthier. Great. But as I said, I've also seen very bad complications from LASIK. So it's not an easy yes or no debate. It's all about risk, expectations, and motivation.
Thank you. The last 5 years, the increase of screen time of every human being on this earth who has access to devices like this, iPad and iPhones and cell phones. So do you believe in this habit that we newly forming, can affect our eyesight, like incrementally, or it's a conspiracy?
So in Asia, there's a epidemic, a crisis in children with myopia, where they need glasses. And there's actually two things that are driving that, and they're very related. Mm-hmm. One is a lot of near work, screens, phones. The other is lack of blue light from the sunlight. So children who are indoors all day, not getting sunlight, and they're reading up close are at high risk for myopia. Mm-hmm. In fact, President Xi, the president of China, the number one public health concern he declared for China, not COVID, not smoking, not cancer.
Obesity?
Nope, myopia.
Damn.
So it is growing, and that's one of the reasons why now in China, because of some of the research that Orbis did with our research professor, Dr. Nathan Condon, they're now letting children stop school, go out in the courtyards and get exercise, doing distance vision and getting that sunlight, which is so critical.
You just mentioned exercise.
Yeah.
I need to have exercises for our eyes. And please give for my audience that easy tips to have this kind of exercise.
So I think that maybe not exercises, but maybe practices. One of the things I would tell you, just like we discussed, it's bad to do near work for two reasons. Yeah. One, you suppress your blink reflex. And so everyone now has dry eye. Yeah. Everyone complains that they have dry eye because they're not blinking from staring at a screen. Oh my God, this is Netflix. I don't want to miss the movie.
Yeah, they forget.
Also, exactly. But also a lot of the air, especially in major cities now, has pollution, smoke, things like this. Yeah. The other problem is with the near work, you're going to constantly be telling your eye to focus close. So giving yourself 20-minute breaks and staring at a distance target. Maybe it's a picture of your children or your vacation or whatever. Give your eyes a break from near work. Go outside. Walk the rest of your body, not just your eyes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I would say the most important thing, if you ask me what your listeners could do, definitely get annual eye exams.
Annual.
Okay. And if you're a diabetic, certainly get your eyes checked every year. If you have a family history of blindness, find out what that was and speak to an eye doctor. And certainly if you see your child is getting closer and closer to the TV, if you notice that the black pupil in the center of the eye is white, that's an ophthalmic emergency. They need to immediately go see a pediatrician and ultimately an eye health professional. So yeah, I would say most people don't realize that about 1% of all ER visits, emergency room visits, involve vision. Loss of vision, double vision. These are things that if you experience painful vision, loss of vision, or double vision, go see a doctor. I think the biggest concern I find, and this is not as big an issue in Mongolia, but in a lot of communities, especially rural communities, people think it's a normal part of aging to lose your vision. Mm-hmm. That is never normal. So me having gray hair, yes, that is a normal sign of aging, but I should not be going blind. So, your listeners, your viewers, I will tell you, sometimes we forget about the people who took care of us, our parents or grandparents. Yeah. There's nothing worse than getting socially and intellectually isolated. And that's what happens when you lose your vision. So getting your elderly, your grandparents, your older parents, getting their eyes checked, super. My mom today back home in the U.S. is getting a procedure done because she just had cataract surgery and needs to have the lens polished a little bit. I ask my mom and dad almost every time I visit, how's your vision? It's an easy question. So I would say we got to take care of those who took care of us and take care of those that are in our charge, your children, things like that.
Yeah. This is my last question related to eye health.
All right.
What is the best food for eye health?
Yeah.
Nutrition-wise, is there any superfood or super supplement?
I don't think I think the most important thing in today's world is realizing that food is not just nutrition, it's medicine. Mm-hmm. Refined sugars, ultra-processed foods, these aren't good for your body, period. Eyes, kidneys, heart. So when I tell people, what should I eat? You were taught as a child to eat carrots. This is because long ago we used to have vitamin A deficiencies and things like this. So yes, there are diseases that are caused by not having good vitamins. If you have certain types of macular degeneration, they may put you on some supplements for your vision. But I think for the vast majority of your listeners and viewers, the most important thing is having a reasonable diet. What I don't want you to do is become diabetic or pre-diabetic and have vision changes from diabetes. So to me, a healthy diet, and all of us know what that is. You don't need me or you to give an education on what is healthy and what is not. I would say, fresh vegetables, which I realize sometimes are very hard to get here, especially in the winter. Yeah. But controlling cholesterol, controlling fats, not smoking. The worst thing you can do if you have macular degeneration is smoke. So just simple things. If you ask me the 3 most important things you can do in your life, no matter what, sleep, eat right, and exercise. Very simple. And that is true for your eye health, your cardiac health, everything.
They said 75% of human brain it's made of something called myelin.
Correct.
And the 100% of the myelin is made of cholesterol.
Different types of cholesterol, right? Myelin is the sheath on the nerve, so that just like this cable right here, mm-hmm. You've got metal and then you've got the rubber around it. Myelin is the rubber around it.
So cholesterol it's there, right? Which I'm trying to say is we need cholesterols.
Absolutely. Don't forget, there's 2 types of cholesterol. There's the HDL, the high density lipoprotein, and then the LDL. Mm-hmm. That HDL is the healthy cholesterol. The LDL is the lousy. So when you go and get your cholesterol checked, but we need cholesterol in our body, just like you need protein, carbohydrates, sugars. Your body builds things from these substrates or these products. And so absolutely, cholesterol is not to be, everything in the right balance and the right parameters is good. I would just encourage because I know the diet here. One of the things you all have, one of your former wrestling champions is now at the airport in charge of security. And do you know Lion? Anyways, he's a lovely man. He's helped us with the airport parking. I remember when I first met him in 2010, he gave me a bear hug and I tried to lift him off the ground. You all have some of the best athletes in the world. You now are dominating Japanese sumo wrestling, right? So, you know, I would say your culture, your community embraces athleticism. I worry as we bring in more fast food, sugary foods, that's going to impact your health and your vision, especially if you get diabetes.
Би өглөөгөө нэг сайхан кофегоо уугаал тэгээ өнөөдөр болох зүйлийг яг болцсон юм шиг бодгол хамгийн түрүүний хийх ёстой зүйл. Өглөө босонгуудаа шууд уцаа оролдохгүйгээр хамгийн эхлээд өнөөдөр ямар сайхан өглөө гэдгээ мэдрэхийн тулд хажууд байгаа зүйлсээ яг гоё болж байгаа юм шиг, яг гоё сайхан байгаа юм шигээр би төсөөлчдөг байна.
And the ENT doctor. I go run more faster
Yeah.
with that.
What do you feel for a difference?
Yes, it's feel the hair
Example for which patient you would recommend this?
snoring. So
Yeah.
I think I help in this
Yeah.
kind of problems.
Also ich empfehle das nur so grundsätzlich den Patienten, die halt einfach nachts darüber klagen, dass sie keine Luft bekommen, aber keine Lust haben, sich operieren zu lassen.
Okay.
Es gibt ja ähnliche Devices oder so, aber ich finde das Noson ist gut verarbeitet, es sitzt schön in der Nase.
Ja.
Und ich mag es, dass es von oben kommt.
Ja.
Weil es gibt ja auch die anderen, die von unten kommen.
Ja.
Ich finde es cool, wenn das von oben kommt. Weil es sitzt gut drin, fällt nicht raus und so.
Minka, spiel show you. Wow. Wow. That's it. Mein Gott. Jetzt weißt du es, ja? 12. Ich kann endlich halten, my bro.
We need to know how to balance things. Like there's no something like very good thing or bad thing. It's all about balance, right? So yeah, I want to end this conversation a little bit later, but I'm closing the eye health stuff. So Dr. Hunter, how have you been? I want to know what's your passion. So I know what you do professionally, but personally, what do you like to do? And I saw on your CV that you finished Emory and Duke.
Yeah.
See, these two universities, I have my utmost respect towards those universities, what they have done. And maybe someday I'll just, out of curiosity, I'll visit because of the basketball culture that has Duke and Emory. There's a amazing study I've made, Dalai Lama with the Emory, about the compassion. So
Correct.
yeah, please tell about your experience over there and your personality.
Yeah, I think one of the things I love to learn, whether it's culture, history, medicine, my brain was just wired to learn. I learn by conversations like with you. This is awesome. I'm exhausted. I got up at 2 a.m. and was working for our New York office, and I don't know what time it is. I'll say 8:30 or whatever it is. I could do this all night long because I'm learning. So, I think the dumbest thing you can ask someone is, are you happy? Because if they are happy, you took them out of that state of being happy and connected and being subconsciously happy. And now you have to worry about, was I happy? And then if you weren't happy, you're depressed because you're not happy. The right thing to ask someone is 3 things. Are you doing something meaningful? Are you learning and growing? And are you surrounded by good people? And for me, Orbis is yes for all 3. But being something meaningful, being a great dad, being a great teacher, to me, finding what gives you joy and gives you a life of service is really important. If you make life about you, you're going to be miserable pretty quick. And there's always going to be a faster car, a bigger jet. For me, learning through service is really important. And one of the things I've learned is I never, ever want to be the smartest person in the room because then I'm not learning. And at Orbis, I'm never the smartest person in the room. we bring it. I told you, we just brought in a world expert in glaucoma. He and I sit together for an hour and 30 minutes every day to the airport and well, an hour each way to the airport. Thank you, Mongolia, for the traffic, because I get more time with him as a conversation.
You see, there's a good part of the
You
traffic.
got to make the good, yeah. But my point is, if you ask me, my passion is learning. And then, you know, I'm not God's gift to anything, but certainly I like teaching and paying it forward. And what I'm pretty good at is getting really, really smart people to work together and care about people that usually aren't on their radar. And so I think I'm pretty good at connecting people and being able to take really complex things that these super geniuses do and make it understandable to someone who is blind in a rural village.
Simplify it.
Yeah. So I would say for me, that's my passion. But it's true, like with fishing. I love to take kids fishing and teach them how to, and watch. I get more joy in today watching people get excited than doing it myself. I'd rather take someone for their first time to Africa. I've gone on a lot of safaris. I've gone to rural places and seen the most beautiful sunsets. I get more joy now bringing someone who's never left their home country and having them watch the sunset in Africa, or when you went to Cuba and you saw the ocean.
For the first time.
Just watching someone's, that's more exciting. I mean, for me, you know, I've lived an amazing life. If I die tomorrow, I die happy. What now gives me the most happiness is getting my godchildren to care about something and see them getting committed about the environment or women's rights. Those are areas I'm not an expert in, but my God, will I support them. So for me, if you ask me, my passion is being around passionate, smart people and using those people's talents to help people who are less fortunate.
Now that you worked with the Mongolians for several years, and do you can you tell what is the superpower that we have? Like we like to have, we need to recognize our flaws and advantages. So let's start with the advantages.
Yeah, I think one of the things I like about Mongolia, it's really been a melting pot where you've had exposure to Russian influence, Chinese influence. So like Dr. Cherwek, you have people who've been trained in multiple systems. I think the most important thing you can do, whether you're a doctor, is always have a nonlinear train, just like your life, very nonlinear. I was a TV star. I was a basketball coach. I think the doctors here in Mongolia have had global exposure, multiple ways of seeing and learning, and have very impressive ways of synthesizing data because they've trained in different systems. I think sometimes when you're trained in only one system, like I was, this is right because this is right. And this is right because I was told so by one person. But I think having a lot of the medical health community here has been trained by multiple systems, multiple countries, and multiple experts. That to me is a superpower. And I would also say you all see a lot of diseases and extreme pathology. We just saw a young boy who came with a very, very serious infection around his eye. In fact, he's admitted at the hospital right now for IV antibiotics and surgery. We don't see that. You only can become as good as the diseases you treat. It's like being a sailor. If all you do is stay in the little harbor, and anytime you see a storm, you go back in and you sit in the country club and you have a sandwich, you're never going to be a great sailor. When you're working with limited resources, as the doctors here or in other countries, and you're dealing with extreme pathology, that's the mother of innovation and invention. Extreme disease, limited resources, how do I solve this? Because I don't have 20 different instruments to do it. So yeah, I think that's the superpower. Multinational training, extreme pathology, and a true need for innovation.
Thank you, Dr. Hunter.
Yeah.
I would like to close this conversation with what you said just now, and all the people who watched and heard from you, and all those people who got the chance to have your services at the Orbis aircraft. And thank you. We are very, very much appreciated what you guys have done. And as I promised, after 2 years, I will invite you back over here and sit down and talk about what I've done.
I love that. So until then, I definitely want to thank you. If anyone is interested in more about Orbis, you can go to orbis.org. but there's a lot of learning and things that people can see through Cybersight, cybersight.org. And of course, I just want to take a minute to thank Chimge, who leads our Mongolian team. She truly has done miracles here. So for me, it's easy to swoop in with the little plane and take credit, but I'm standing on the shoulders of a giant.
Yes, we have to give credit for her because she made it happen. This conversation, all these things, and someday maybe I will interview her. She refused to give interview, but I'll find a way to interview her with her topics and stuff.
Give her a few glasses of Eric in the summer.
Eric.
Yes, and then she'll do the interview.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, and I'm going to include all this information down there in the description, and please study and read and get to know more. Knowing more is always interesting. So, Dr. Hunter, thank you again, and see you next time.
Absolutely.
And my guys, we are done with today's episode, and every episode has this wish for you guys that I wish you joy, and I hope you guys enjoying your life over here in this small world, and see you next time.
За та биднийг хэрхэн дэмжихээ мэдэхгүй байгаа бол энэ хандивын данс руу мөнгө илгээхэд хангалттай. Гэхдээ их мөнгө биш. Та заавал аимшигтэй их мөнгө илгээх шаардлагагүй. Магадгүй 1000 төгрөг, 2000 төгрөг, 20000 төгрөг байсан ч болно. Гол нь бид та бүхний энэ үйлдэлээс маш хурам авдаг учраас цааш та хүрэж байгаа подкастынхаа чанарыг магадгүй олон улсын эрдэмтдтэй гадаадад очиж ярилцлага хийх гих зэрэг зүйлс бид нар зарцуулахыг хичээж байгаа. Тэгэхээр олон жил бид нар хийсэн энэ подкаста зогсоомооргүй байна, үргэлжлүүлмээр байна. Мөн амьдралын чанарыг дээшлүүлэхэд бид нар оролцоотой байхыг хүсэж байгаа юм шүү. Баярлалаа. Данс доор байгаа шүү. Баяртай.